know that you can hear. Welcome to day 2 of the Masterclass, Disrupting Modern Life, because reality is most of us are struggling to some degree, and we're really looking for some kind of a beautiful shift in our lives so we can feel whole, so we can feel authentic, so we can feel like we really are just in total alignment. So thank you everyone for being here. Thank you for showing up for day 2. And I have lots in store for you today. So with that said, we may go beyond the hour today. And if you've got to pop off early, that's okay, because if you are registered, then you get the replays. So don't sweat it. I understand life can be rather full at times, and we're often juggling all manner of different activities and things. So definitely want to let you know that it's all good. And if you want to share the replays with somebody that you think might benefit or might see value in this, then absolutely you're welcome to do this. Okay, so let's get started. My belief is you have it all within you to live an extraordinary life and a magnificent life, and a life that is truly in alignment with who you are. And I'm going to be showing you some more strategies, some more tips today, and some more ways forward so that you can actually do this. So yesterday we talked about the value of community. Today I've got some more wellness strategies for you, and very specifically we're going to look at Europe, the European lifestyles, and the blue zones, which I am totally obsessed with. And then tomorrow we're going to talk about your purpose. And you may or may not have discovered your purpose. You may or may not know that you have more than one purpose. And that's all good. Come back tomorrow and we're going to dive into that. Now, today, at the end of our time together, I'm going to be walking you through something that I have for you, something specifically designed with you in mind, with me in mind, with us in mind. And if you do decide to partner with me and with our community on this extraordinary journey, then I'm going to gift you with my brand new book. We've also got some other bonuses for you as well. So this comes out very soon. I'm so excited. I can just can you feel the excitement there? Awesome. Also wanted to let you know, if you're like me, you have all sorts of devices and any one of them could go off at any given moment, and just want to, invite you to come present to this moment, invite you to step into the possibilities, and invite you to just be with us in this time. So first thing we did yesterday is to settle the nervous system, which sometimes we're rushing in order to attend a meeting like this. So first off, we're going to remember to breathe. And I highlighted yesterday the value of breathing in through your nose. Nasal breathing calms our system very quickly. It allows us to improve oxygenation, and it improves vagal tone, which we're going to get into vagal tone today. We also talked yesterday about havening, which is just this caressing of your hands really gently, almost like you're putting on lotion. And then you can go all the way up your arms, across your shoulders and your chest if you like, or just hang out at your arms. If you're sitting on an airplane next to a whole bunch of people and you want to be discreet, then just caress your arms, or your hands. Just keep it really simple. You can even hide them under the table or whatever you need to do to make yourself feel comfortable so that you can soothe this whole system within our body, which is really amazing. So I wanted to touch base a little bit on the vagus nerve. And this is something I hadn't heard of until a few years ago. I didn't realize we had this incredible nerve within our whole body. We have so many systems and so many things that are so miraculous and beautiful and wonderful in our body. And the vagus nerve is really cool. The cool thing about this, you're probably already doing things to support the vagus nerve, but I'm going to give you some really practical things today that you can do. So this helps to regulate the parasympathetic nervous system, which is all about the involuntary functions. So the heart rate, your digestion, your respiratory, all these kinds of things. So when you begin to regulate these things, it actually brings your whole system into a place of balance and homeostasis. And so often we're out of balance, we're out of alignment, where our thinking and our thoughts are going in all sorts of negative directions and negative beliefs that we have and all these kinds of things, which also elevates our heart rate and gets our blood flowing and things like that. And so we want to bring our body into this beautiful state of homeostasis. So what vagal toning will help to do is help with stress regulation, because that's what the vagus nerve does. And when you improve things like digestion, you actually have better mental health, better well-being. There's all sorts of things that happen that we're, I would say, only really in the last 10 to 15 years are we starting to understand, for instance, the gut health connection with our mental health, for instance. Excuse me, got a little bit of a frog in my throat this morning. So this supports your mental health. It helps to regulate inflammation. And inflammation, incidentally, is what's connected with a lot of chronic illnesses, chronic diseases. So when we reduce inflammation, we can actually reduce the impact that some of these conditions have on our entire life. And of course, beneficial for your heart, as it helps you to really start to regulate your heart rate. Because you know what it's like, when you're running, your heart rate gets up. We do this often just with our thoughts, just with our thinking. So we want to interrupt that with a really simple way for us to improve and enhance our vagal tone. And one of the things that we can do is gargling, swallowing, anything to do with your throat. Singing is fabulous for this. I'm in a choir, and so every week we get to stimulate the vagus nerve with our singing, with our humming, with our practicing. You can also do this. You can stimulate the vagus nerve by doing yoga, cycling, walking. Any kind of movement that you're doing is going to support the vagus nerve and help with vagal tone. And deep breathing exercises. So we start each class with some breathing. So all these kinds of things are going to help to support that. And cold exposure, which is not my favorite. If you're one who likes to just dive in and get into the cold, bless you. I have kids who do this. They wake up in the morning and they jump into a freezing cold shower, and they find it really helps with their whole system. And a lot of people are discovering that it actually helps to improve your resilience. It actually bodily helps you to improve resilience, which also then helps you to mentally improve resilience. So cold exposure, while I have not yet dipped my toe into this, I do recognize that for a lot of people, there's enormous value and benefit with that. And then mindfulness practices, meditating, breath work, even just reminding yourself to stop. When you go into that place of overwhelm and all the thoughts are racing, and sometimes we can start to feel a little crazy, even just going and almost figuratively holding up stop sign for ourselves and going, whoa, stop, breathe. What do I want to believe here in this moment? What am I choosing to believe? What am I choosing to feel in this moment instead of going down that path? So all manner of mindfulness practices are so beneficial. Laughter and socializing. So at the end of yesterday's masterclass, I said to my 16-year-old son, who often says no to me when I invite him to do things, I said, hey, you want to watch a movie tonight? And he was like, sure. Okay. So then I said, okay, none of the intensity kind of, horror driven, scary, freaky dramas. I don't want any of that. I need something light tonight. I've just hosted day 1 of my masterclass. And the last thing I want to do was go into intense, emotions. So we found a comedy. And I kid you not, I have not laughed as hard at that movie as I did. I think the last time I laughed that hard was when I watched the movie There's Something About Mary, which came out, I don't know, early 90s or something like that. Anyways, I was crying from all the laughter. It was so, so, so good. All of this, the laughter, the being in connection with other humans. I just set up a coffee date with a girlfriend of mine I haven't seen in years. And we're going to meet next week. And I know that being with her, being in her energy is just going to light up everything, and it's going to support my vagus nerve. So all these kinds of things are supportive of our vagus nerve, which is so great because it's really so simple. So let's do something that you can do wherever you're at right now. And if you're multitasking, come back to me. And all I want you to do is divide your fingers up like this, kind of like Spock did back in the days, or you can do like this, whatever works best for you. And I want you to just kind of, you're going to go on either side of your ears. Okay. So either way, you can do it this way or this way. There's no right or wrong. And you're going to start up here, and you're kind of like cupping your head right now, which even just that feels a little supported, right? Sometimes we feel like we got the weight of the world on our shoulders. So all we're going to do is just going to come down the neck on either side and just dragging your hands, just pulling down. Do it as many times as you like. And we're breathing in through our nose here. Lots of nice deep breaths while we're just very gently stroking the vagus nerve. And I feel better already. How about you? Okay. Now we can get on with the show. You see how simple these things are? You know, havening, the vagal toning. Like, it just doesn't have to be complicated. Sometimes we think that everything has to be perfect and at the right time, and we got to set aside 15 minutes a day for yoga or meditating. And how am I going to do that? And sometimes it's just a little simple exercise. So how does that feel? How does that feel for you? Put that in the chat. If you feel better, put a number 1 in the chat. Oh, it's just so good. I just love that exercise. It's just so simple, right? So good. Okay. So our reality, we're living, rushing all the time. We've got lots of these hormones racing through our bodies, trying to keep us in a state of homeostasis. We're not in a state of homeostasis. We're on high alert all the time with all of our notifications. We went through this yesterday. We're all really aware that there is such an incredible pace to our life. We're exhausted. We're stressed out. We're using caffeine to bring our energy levels up. Midday, we've got to have sugar to keep the level sustained. And then we've got alcohol in the evening to bring our body into calmness. This is wreaking havoc, not only on our blood sugar levels, but on all the systems of our body. It's keeping us in this state of fight or flight. And for most people, we're overwhelmed. We're feeling the emotional roller coaster. We think we're all alone in this, and we're not. You know, it's just this go, go, go. It's the way everything has been set up for us. The game is rigged against us. And in it, we're feeling vastly disconnected. And what we ultimately desire is calm and peace. We desire to be loved. We desire to feel loved. And we desire to come into alignment, to really be in true congruence with ourselves. So I want you to stay tuned, because we're going to talk about that whole piece of being connected and being in community. If you desire a life you love, you want to feel vibrant, you want to live well into your latter years, you don't want to be sick and diseased and, bent over and fistfuls of medication. If you truly desire to shift what society has deemed as normal and step into something that is completely outside of that. This is for you today. If you're feeling any disconnection, if you're feeling like you're not quite in alignment. And I introduced myself yesterday, but for those of you who are new today, I'm a mom of 4 beautiful children, ages 6 to 21. I have a partner of 8.5 years who's amazing. He's my biggest cheerleader and supporter. I am also a podcast host. Feel free to go over and follow me at the Be Well and Be You podcast. I'm also a coach, and very shortly my book is coming out, so I will officially be an author. And something you may not know about me is I kind of have this love-hate relationship with social media. And as I mentioned yesterday, with this whole nun study that took place, a longitudinal study that took place over a couple of decades back in the 80s and 90s, where they looked at these nuns and they recognized that there was something very different about their lifestyle in comparison to a lot of other people. And a large part of that was their connection to community and their sense of purpose. And I think what I feel such this like love-hate thing with social media is I love creating content, and I love adding value, and I love giving and sharing, and I love seeing how other people are doing. But it's this weird thing. It's like this sort of black hole that we all get carried away with every single day. And we spend on average between 3 to 4 hours a day online. So we feel like we're connected, but we're not really connected. It's kind of this weird superficial place. And so as I'm continuing to think about this nun study, and I'm continuing to think about, there has to be a better way. There has to be another way that we can all begin to live our lives. And I watched this documentary, and you might have seen this documentary, and it was something I'd already known the research. I'd already, encountered this research because I've kind of been, I would say for the past few decades, really been looking at what is it that allows us to live our most vibrant life. And so I watched this video, and it was kind of like, oh my gosh, Kimberly, you got to shake things up. You have to do something different. And it was a documentary on the blue zones. And the blue zones are something that I'm super excited to talk about with you today. There are 5 different places around the world that are known to be blue zones: Okinawa, Japan; Sardinia, Italy; Icaria, Greece; the Nicoya Peninsula in Costa Rica; and Loma Linda, California. So you see how there's all sorts of different places around the world. What makes them a blue zone? Well, a blue zone is a pocket in the world, a high concentration of people who live to be in their 90s and 100s. They're considered centenarians. And these are not people who are disabled and crippled and unable to function and living in, long-term care facilities. These are people with thriving lives. These are people who are healthy and strong. And so these pockets have been researched and studied in order to discover what the heck are these people doing that is so different from everywhere else. Because if you look, for instance, at North America, we think we're so enlightened, and we think we've come so far, and we're living longer, but we're not necessarily living well and living longer. We're living with fistfuls of medication. We've got all sorts of hospital visits and doctor visits, and we're not living well. So what is the difference? There's several keys. They have strong community ties, lots of social support. They have healthy diets. They have active lifestyles. So there's lots of movement. In fact, in Italy, this city in Italy, their houses are built up on a hill, up on a steep hill, steep incline. And in fact, their houses are tall and skinny. So they have multiple stairs within their homes. And then in order to get anywhere, and most of the time they're walking, they have to go down the hill and they have to climb back up the hill on a daily basis. So their whole life is about movement. And really all of this is contributing to their well-being. Things like meal portions. I remember when I was a little girl going to California, we were going to Disneyland, and we went to this restaurant, and the restaurant had gigantic plates with gigantic meals. And my parents realized when we went the next time, we needed to only order 2 meals for our family of 5. Well, fast forward, what are we, 40 years later, and all of us, everywhere we go, large meal portions, plate sizes are larger. Therefore, we fill our plates with more. And you go all over Europe, this is not the case. You go to these blue zone locations, they have small portions. They never eat more than they're meant to eat, than their stomach. You know, your stomach is fist size, and yet we tend to put in about 6 fist sizes per meal, right? Also, their quality of food. They have incredibly nutrient dense foods, and they're eating whole foods. My 16-year-old kind of jokes around because he goes to other people's homes and they have so many prepackaged foods, and it's easy to grab a snack. But in our home, they don't like it because it's Whole Foods. It's a Whole Foods house. So it makes it harder and more challenging. You have to think more. And this is in large part why most people have given up on Whole Foods, because it's just, with our busy lifestyle, it takes too much effort to prep it. So then this physical activity is so important. And then dedicated time for rest. How many of us actually have dedicated time for rest every day or every week or seasonally? Do we have times where we actually rest? I remember being in Italy years ago, and people would just sit at the cafes and sip their espressos and just have this leisurely kind of take on life. And I remember thinking, wow, we're like drink and go, eat and go, right? And then this whole concept of communal activities, doing things as a collective, doing things together, having these kinds of strong social bonds is what sets the blue zones apart. The other thing that's so important, and I read a book years ago called Hold On to Your Kids by Dr. Gordon Neufeld, who's a Vancouver doctor. And it's a beautiful book. And he talks about how in sort of Western culture, so to speak, we have lost sight of all ages being together in favor of, you know, in school situations, kindergarten kids are with kindergarten kids, and grade 10s are with grade 10s. And in church settings, you know, your Sunday school classes were just the same age group. And then you move into activities and soccer, you know, sports activities and musical activities, and you've got people all the same age traveling all together. And so we're learning from our peers instead of learning from our wise elders. And in the blue zones, the families are all together. All ages are represented when they have social gatherings, when they're doing things together. It's multi-generational. This is huge because you think young people keep the older people going. You know, I have a 6-year-old, I'll be 50 this year. She keeps me going. She lets me know what time we're waking in the morning. Yesterday morning was 5:45 because, you know, it was the first day of my masterclass. So she decided I needed to get up and get going. She keeps me young, right? I could be a grandmother. I have a 21-year-old. I could very easily be a grandmother, but she keeps me young and vibrant and thinking sharp. And that's what it does when we're in communal organizations, where we're at all ages together. So the special thing about Okinawa is they have 3 to 4 friends that they are set up with when they're young. And those friends travel with them throughout all of their lifetime. And this was originally set up so that they would share resources, financial resources. So it became like an alternative to a bank account. But what happened was, instead of it just being about the financial stability, it actually became this really beautiful circle of friendships to count on throughout their entire lifetime. I just think, oh, wow. Talk about planning, you know, for the next generation, planning for them and giving them a solid foundation from which to grow. Like, so incredible. So in Loma Linda, they're a largely Seventh-day Adventist community. So they have their Sabbath on Saturdays, and every Saturday they have communal lunchtime together, and then they all go for a nature walk every Saturday afternoon. They also have several activities throughout the city that are all designed to bring everybody together. So it's very, very intentional in how they live their lives. The European lifestyle is really amazing as well. So in most places around Europe, they have a preventative healthcare system. Where I live in Canada, we have a reactionary healthcare system, and I would say reactionary disease care. We don't talk anything about prevention. In fact, I remember a meeting with my dad's nephrologist one day, it was many years ago, that's a kidney specialist, and she told me that in medical school, now she's a specialist, so she's gone through more years of medical training. In all of her medical schooling, she had 1 2-hour lecture, and that was optional, on nutrition. So if our doctors, who are in our culture esteemed as the ones to know how to keep us healthy, if they don't even have the training and education on nutrition, which we know with animals, what you feed them is what you get out. What you feed them is how energized they will be, how, vibrant they'll be. There's signs all over different locations like the zoos. Don't feed the animals this, because we know this causes a negative impact. Well, in our human culture in North America, people are not talking about this in the medical system. We do not have preventative healthcare. So in Europe, it's incredible. It's all about prevention. They have access to way more green spaces. They mostly use public transportation. I mean, it's such a common thing around Europe to use public transportation, which means you're walking more. And they have far stricter regulations on food production and more, traditional, back to the earth farming practices. When my son was, he's going through some health things right now. And so we found a practitioner, and she basically said to him, make sure there's no GMO, make sure there's no gluten, no dairy, no sugar. She went on this big, long list of things for him to do. And she said, unless you're in Europe. If you're in Europe, go ahead, eat. And you think, oh my gosh, what have we done, right? So the European lifestyle, I mean, everything is way more whole foods based, way more things like olive oil, which is rich in polyphenols and rich in so many oxidants and antioxidants and nutrition. They have moderate portions, as we talked about, with the blue zone and the physical activity. And then again, much like the blue zones, communal activities, shared connections. And a lot of times their cities are actually set up so that they're actually bumping into one another more frequently. They also take longer vacations, and they have shorter working hours. When I was in Spain many years ago, they had siesta every afternoon. You have lunch, which is your biggest meal of the day, and then you rest. You might go back to work later on, but you've had this chunk of time where the entire village or the entire city rests. It's amazing. It's designed this way. So how can we allow all of what we've just learned, and probably for most of you, this isn't brand new learning, but it's just a reminder of, right, there is another way to do life. So how can knowing this inform our choices going forward? And there's several keys, but I'm going to focus on 4 today. Whole foods. So really, whatever we can do to eat whole foods. If it comes in a package, you want to read the ingredients. You want to be really mindful about what's actually in there. You don't need an ingredient list when it comes to tomatoes and strawberries and whatnot, although you might want to, if you can, eat organic as much as possible, because we do want to avoid the pesticides. But physical activity. What can you do to actually move your body more? Now, you might be somebody who's really great about having consistent, regular physical activity. You might even just within that want to look at, do I need to add more stretching? I was talking with my son yesterday who loves to work out, loves to bodybuild, and loves to hike and all these things, but has some muscles that are kind of, tight and tense. And I said, so are you stretching? He's like, no, might be a good idea to incorporate a little bit of stretching, right? And then community, which I cannot drive home enough how essential it is to have community, which brings so much more enjoyment and richness into our lives. And then the one I want to focus on today is the resting and the playfulness and just coming back to that place of fun and enjoyment. And there's 4 ways that you can start today. So you can start with mindfulness or meditation. There's tons of cool apps for meditation. There's amazing things on YouTube. It may be like me, one of the things I implemented years ago, I started to notice that while I was washing my dishes, I wasn't breathing much. And I would just kind of be tense because I'm thinking about everything throughout the day. And so what I began to do is it became almost like a reminder every time I started to wash dishes. Oh yeah, breathe. And just keep breathing. And just keep focusing on my breathing. So any kind of thing that is going to bring you back into that place of stillness and bring you really to that present moment. And one of the things might be unplugging and turning off. Like last night when I was watching the movie with my son, and yes, it was screen time, but I put my phone somewhere else where I couldn't access it. And I actually heard it ding and I thought, whatever, I'm going to get to that later. Because no longer do I want to live by the tyranny of the urgent. Like, gotta get that notification, gotta read that message, gotta know what's going on. Not serving me. So being able to just relax. I put books all over my home so that anytime I have a little moment, I can just open up and read a page. And I do this strategically for myself so that it actually reminds me to just stop and be for a moment. The other way that you can begin to implement more fun and reduce your stress level is to create boundaries. And I know it's so easy for a lot of us to say yes to things. Somebody asked me to help them out with something. Okay, I'm a yes. Somebody said, hey, could you do this for me? Yes. Hey, what about this? Yes. And sometimes the best thing we can do for ourselves is to say no. And you don't even need a big, long explanation. No is a perfectly good answer. Yeah, no, that's not going to fit for me. That's not going to work for me. It's not a fit. Just no. So being able to know what your own boundaries are, this is going to allow you to even create some space in your life for more rest, for the time to take a 15-minute nap. I once heard a cardiothoracic surgeon mention that he takes a 15-minute nap every day. Imagine a surgeon. I mean, when I heard that, it was many years ago now, when I heard that, it just stuck because I thought this is somebody who's really important, who lives, he lives to heal people, to make other people healthy. And he takes a 15-minute break every day. I've heard of other entrepreneurs who were really successful, going great places, and they take breaks, they take rests, they unplug, they breathe, and they create those healthy boundaries. And then hobbies. When was the last time you did something just because you like to do it? My daughter is a brilliant model for this. In fact, so she's a hairstylist and she was on set doing hair a while back. And they laughed at her and called her Granny because she would sit there and crochet. So when she wasn't needed on set to do hair, she crochets and she reads and she sets aside time every day to knit to crochet and to read. Now, she doesn't have children yet, so she has a little bit more time in her day to do these kinds of things. But what if, even if we do have multiple responsibilities, what if we are carving out time for ourselves? How much more time then do we have and energy to give to others? So for me, choir, that's my thing. I love it. I have so much fun. It's once a week and then I practice, here and there, but it's a place for me to just go and be filled up. All of us say that it's our favorite time of the week, and then we just feel so great afterwards. What are you doing that allows you to feel filled up, that allows you to just feel energized? And you might be thinking like, I don't have time for any of this. I don't have the energy. I don't know what I'm responsible for. But I want you to remember, you don't have to do them all. You can just pick one. Just pick one thing that you can start doing today. Breathing while you're washing the dishes, or putting your phone aside an hour before bedtime. Just letting it go, trusting that the next day all the messages will still be there and you'll be able to get to them when you get to them. What is just one thing that you can start to implement in your way of being so that you can truly live a more rested, vibrant life, because you are worth it? And I love this quote from Rumi, the 13th century Persian poet. You are not a drop in the ocean. You are the entire ocean in a drop. You're an incredible, masterful creation, and you deserve this. And it's easy. You're going to get off this masterclass today and go about the next thing that you have on your agenda. And it's really easy to forget what I've just shared with you. It's really easy also to just dismiss it. Like, it's not that big of a deal. Or I've got some of these things in place already. I'm good. The reality is we all need somebody to walk with us on the journey. We all need somebody who's our cheerleader, somebody who says, you got this. Somebody who says, hey, did you take a break today? Or, hey, did you? And I had a friend who said this to me the other day. She just said, stop, 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 stop. And I was like, all right, yeah. Okay. She's like, literally, just stop, breathe, and carry on. We need that, right? We need people in our lives. We need our circle of people who will walk us through and support us. And yeah, we can do it on our own. We can make our plans. You probably accomplished lots of goals in your life. You probably have done lots of research on a whole variety of things, and you've discovered new things. And you've probably learned lots of cool strategies. You might have seen things on social media and, all these great things to keep you on track. And you can totally do this on your own. And if you're doing it great on your own, awesome. I applaud you. But this isn't the Blue Zone way. This is not the way that the European and the Blue Zone communities are doing life. They're doing life collectively, together. Now, remember the title, Disrupting Modern Life, a Blueprint for Authentic Living. So I'm not here to tell you, just stay the same, do everything you've been doing right now because it's working for you. Unless that is 100% true. But my whole focus today is to say, let's disrupt this. Let's shake things up. Let's shift how we've been going at this thing we call life. And let's begin to transform things so that we can really step into this incredible gift of life that we have been given. It is not about the solo show. It is absolutely about a collective. So do you see the power of community in terms of really being able to release some of the things that you've had for yourself and being able to open yourself up to new possibilities? Like, do you really see the power of this? So if you're ready for a new or, old way of doing things, going back to way things were, I want to introduce you to Uplifted Collective. And this is something I am so excited to let you know about. It is your virtual blue zone. A transformative, it's all about transformative connections for lasting wellness and joyful living. It is possible. We're in the midst of creating it. We began in January and we're having a blast. It's been exquisite and extraordinary and challenging, and we've all been growing. It's been incredible. So I want you to imagine a platform off social media. I want you to imagine an intentional community, and I want you to imagine an uplifting experience with weekly coaching, with questions you can ask to the group, with wisdom that you're going to get from the community. Imagine learning from healers, from guides, from coaches, from authors, from artists, from all manner of people who come to the table with a whole variety of gifts and strengths and wisdom and skills. And I want you to imagine stepping outside of what you currently think of and know of as social media and all the online things. And I want you to imagine being a part of cultural software that is designed, literally software that is designed to create transforming community. An Uplifted Collective is absolutely designed with you in mind, for you to grow, for you to have meaningful connections. And this word, like-hearted, we are not always like-minded. Oftentimes, we think differently than one another, and this is good. I want a community where you don't all act like you think exactly the same as me. I want you to challenge me. I want to challenge you. But ultimately, I want us to come from the heart. I want us to be loving, compassionate, soulful human beings. And so the design is not that we're the same, but that we are like-hearted souls who desire to continue to thrive and to grow. And this is not about, I got this, I'm doing it all on my own. This is not about figuring out all of it on your own. You got a question? Come be a part of this. And I want to share with you some of the love from our group. This is Sherry. She says, Uplifted Collective has been such a welcome addition to my week. It's a time to sit down, unwind, reflect, learn, and grow with other like-minded people. Kimberly always brings amazing topics to the discussions and is so knowledgeable in what she leads us through. It helps you step outside comfort zones and look at things in new ways. I absolutely love being a part of this amazing space. And this is Chelsea. I feel like my whole world shifted after attending the masterclass. I started carving out time for myself to rest, heal, and connect with other like-minded souls. It's like that hollow part of me that I had felt for years was being filled with love. Oh, I just love that. Like, I can't help but just feel so bursting in my heart when I read these. And this is Joanne. And I love Joanne's story. A little backstory. Sherry was contemplating joining Uplifted Collective, and she messaged her friend Joanne and said, I think that this might be something for you. And without even thinking, Joanne signed up. So this is her testimonial. I joined Uplifted. She hadn't watched the masterclass. That's the important part here. I joined Uplifted Collective before I knew what it was all about. A friend of mine phoned to tell me what a great idea Uplifted Collective was, and I signed up and paid for a full year. I went to bed that night and thought, what have I done? I may not even like these people. I love that. Because it's true, right? Like we all think, well, what if they don't like me? Or what if I don't like them, right? There's often those kinds of silly things that come up for us. I went to bed that night and thought, what have I done? I may not even like these people. Thankfully, my anxieties about the group that night could not have been further from the truth. It's rare to find a place where all different personalities are embraced and celebrated as one. Kimberly has a knack for bringing people together, which makes her a great host. Take a moment to watch the masterclass, as in this life, today is all we have, and you may find what you've been looking for with Uplifted Collective. Now, Sherry and Nancy and Chelsea have all been able to attend lots of things. They've been able to attend online and offline. And I have a weekly healing circle that we meet once a week locally. If you're not local to us, all good, because as we have more non-local people, you're going to be able to see who lives in your area and connect with them as well. Nancy hasn't been able to attend a whole lot. She works long hours. And here's what she says: I have felt safe sharing in this community. I'm telling you, that is so important, that people feel safe, that they can be their authentic self and share what's on their hearts. I am not always on the live class, but when I go back and listen to the replay, I always come away with a helpful bit of information. Helps with pondering and navigating growing situations. Okay, so you want to take a sneak peek? See behind the scenes? So this is what the app looks like. And you can go in right from your phone, or you can go in from the website. You're able to put in your own little bio, a little about you. You can put whatever photos that you want there. It allows all of us to get to know one another a little bit. You'll see that your bio will show up here. You're going to be able to see who's close to you. You're going to be able to see, we've got different places. Like if you're navigating a challenge, come on in here and put it in here, and we'll be able to connect with you. We also have resources. We also have all manner of things. So here you go. You get to see who's near you. You'll be able to see. So as our community grows, we just started in January, so we're just in that growing process. And as our community grows, and there are people who are living in various cities, various countries, as those places grow, you're gonna be able to see who lives close to you and host different events with those people. Like Joanne hosts a little hiking on the weeks that we are not necessarily meeting on the day that she meets with us. Then she hosts a little hiking club. So we get to do all those things. And the cool thing is, because we know we're all like-hearted, and we all want to we all have a growth mindset, and we all want to live this blue zone life. It's so fun because you want to get together with each person. Okay, so you're wondering, what's the cost? What's this going to be? So here's the value. So we have weekly group coaching, and we have them on alternating days each week, because let's face it, we don't all have the same schedules. So you get to pick and choose which day works best for you. So I host every week, but you get to pick if you can come each week, or if there's a certain day that you can make it. And the value here with this group coaching is $400 a month. We also host regular events. We have in-person events, we have online events, and those are a value of $100 a month. I would say making new friends for life is priceless, because let's face it, we all treasure these relationships. And then living healthy and feeling really well in your soul, again, priceless. This is all about making a difference. Like, we all get to make a difference with one another. Our call on Monday was a riot. We had so much fun, and we were cheering each other on, and there was so much that happened that I know made a difference for the different people in the group. It was really fantastic. It's a really untold value here in terms of what you'll receive and in terms of what you're going to be able to give. So this would be $500 a month if you were to add it all up. But I'm able to offer it to you for $44 a month US. And this works out to roughly $1.46 a day. So cheaper than a Starbucks coffee, which is pretty amazing. So $2 a day. So this is, or you want to save 15%, and it's $450 a year. So you can either do the monthly if that's the most doable for you, or you can save $450 a year. Or say you can save 15% and pay $450 a year. Here's the thing. You get to be among the trailblazers, the visionaries, the catalysts for change, the people who are saying, what I have is okay, but I want something more meaningful. I want a richer experience in my life. And this is really an opportunity, not for you just to come on board and just be a member, but to actually be somebody who's a part of pioneering how this shapes, how this evolves, and being a part of a really transformative community. Okay, so I have a little bonus for you. So if you sign up between now and Sunday, by the way, the doors are always open. So this is not one of those you have to sign up by Sunday or else you can never be part of this community. I have not structured it that way. However, if you do sign up by Sunday at 8 a.m. Pacific, you will receive a copy of my book when it comes out, which will be shortly. You're going to have lots of different practices in here that are going to really support you throughout your whole life, like wellness practices that are going to, really be instrumental for you. I'm so excited for this to launch. You'll also receive a one-on-one coaching session with me, and the value for 1 hour is $111 US. And you'll also receive an energy healing session, which is also a value of $111. So the recipe book, the coaching, the energy healing session, all of that is a value of $251. So you look at $500 a month plus the $251. This would be $6,200 a year. Now, you don't have to pay that. You get to pay $450 a year or $1.23 a day, which is pretty fantastic. So we're at upliftedcollective.co. You can go there and you can pick which one you want to partner with. Do you want the monthly or do you want the annual? You're going to come to a site that looks like this. You're going to click choose a plan, and you're going to, if you scroll to the bottom, if you read all the way through, then there's also this little part here that says choose the plan. So you're going to pick either the $44 a month or the $450 a year. And what you'll see on the top right-hand side, you'll see where it says monthly, and you can either push the button to click annual or to have it say monthly. Okay. So this is for you if you're seeking to craft a life you love, if you truly want to live a vibrant, lovely, amazing, extraordinary life, and you want to live that well into your last decades. Whether you're a young person right now or you're an older person, if you desire to live well your entire life, this is for you. This is for you if you're feeling some disconnection, if you're feeling like there's just something missing, like what Chelsea said, with like there's kind of this hole, like there's kind of this, you're not even really sure what it is. But come here, come be with us, and we're going to walk you through, and you're going to begin to fill that hole. You're going to begin to feel like you're coming into alignment with yourself, and you're going to begin to feel like you're in this beautiful community that is buoying you up. This is really a sanctuary. This is a place where we are all desiring to expand and to grow and to be there for one another. This is all about using our greatest wisdom. It is about being compassionate with one another. It's about having supportive connections. And it truly is a space for holistic growth. Now, if you're thinking to yourself, okay, I'm just not really getting it, or just doesn't quite feel, I'm not really sure. If you're thinking to yourself, but it's still online. Kimberly, you were talking about the blue zones and yep, it is still online because this is our reality. But I want us to revolutionize our online experience. I want us to have a different experience from now on. And you're going to get to find your local people. You're going to find that there are going to be other people who desire this. You can, in fact, introduce them to this masterclass so that they can watch it for themselves and go, yeah, actually, I want to be a part of that. Great. You're in my neighborhood. Let's find more people in our neighborhood who want to be a part of something that can be so uplifting for all of us. And will it really be as good as I say? Well, as long as we continue to keep the vision at the forefront, our Blue Zone community, that we really have all of this in our vision, then absolutely it'll be as good as as it can be. And it's what we make of it, right? If you kind of dip your toes in and don't bother and don't show up and don't, comment when somebody shares something that, is really on their mind. I mean, it's okay. You don't have to comment all the time, but if you're kind of checked out, let's say, probably not going to get out of it what you would if you were investing in the community and being present to it. And why should I pay for something that when I have free social media? Well, I think, most of us are not finding this whole blue zone community on social media. And the reality is we pay attention to the things that we invest in. I know this to be true. Last year, I invested in 3 different courses. One of them was $10,000. Okay. I'm telling you, I showed up. I paid attention. I rewatched things. I listened. I tuned in. It's our nature, right? We will pay attention if we are investing in it. If you're thinking, I don't know if you're my person, Kimberly, like I'm not sure we really jive, I don't really feel your energy, then that's totally okay. I may not be your person, and I just want to thank you for being here. And tomorrow you can still feel free to show up, because we're going to be talking about purpose. We're going to be talking about how you can really live into your purpose on a daily basis, how you can feel your purpose. And so you're welcome to join us tomorrow, even if you don't plan on being a part of Uplifted Collective. Absolutely, you're welcome. And if you're just not sure, then send me a message. Send me a message and let me know. And I'm not going to share it in the live video because this video will be out on YouTube, but I'll put it in the chat here for you. And you're welcome. Actually, texting is the best thing. Text me and I will be happy to connect with you. And for those of you who are seeing this online, go to my Instagram page, which is Kimberly R. Chalmers. You'll find me there. Just send me a message and I'm happy to answer any of your questions. If you want to share this with somebody else, please feel free to share. We are a community, like I said. If you feel like you're like-hearted with us, then we welcome you. If you feel like this isn't a fit for you, all good, right? There's probably something else that's going to come along your path that's going to be the right fit for you. So thank you so much for being with us today. Again, go to upliftedcollective.co for more information and to be a part of this community. Super excited to welcome some more members into our world. We just had our first full day retreat a couple of weeks ago, which was it was so lovely. It's so fun. And as we're all getting to know each other more and more, and there's a depth that's coming there. And so I'm just really excited to welcome some new people. Oh, and one of the things I wanted to mention was that we also will set you up in pods. So you will be connecting with a couple other people who are wanting to meet intentionally on a regular basis together, which is really important because as the group grows, we can kind of start to feel like, lost in amongst the group. And so that's why the pods are really, really important. So you will be set up in a pod, and they've been loving the pods, loving those kinds of interactions and connections that they're having, so they can really have a depth of relationship there. So thank you so much for tuning in to day 2 of the masterclass. I look forward to seeing you again tomorrow at noon Pacific, and we'll be talking about purpose. Have a beautiful day.